Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Hello, everybody. Hi. Hi, Joram. How you doing, my friend?
Hey, Josh. Good. Thank you. And you?
Uh, oh, good. It's the release day. They're releasing iOS 18 today, and then they're saving the best for last, which is Apple. Sorry, not Apple. Java 23.
Yeah, true. Oh, yeah, that
That's
was today.
tomorrow.
Right. Yeah. True, true,
Well, that's
true.
tomorrow.
Tomorrow
Yeah,
depends.
yeah.
Well,
Well, it
for
depends.
you, it's
Yeah, I
already
suppose
tomorrow,
I'm.
right? I think you're
Yeah, that's
you're
true.
you're from the
Yeah,
future.
I am in the future. I am. Living on the edge. Yeah, It's Java 23 Tuesday. Later, it's gonna be great, great and crazy. I said,
Yeah.
look, coffee would be nice, but since I don't have it, you're just gonna have to accept me contracting words like crazy and great and making new words like crazy. Um, hey, no, I'm really excited. I mean, there's just this incredible opportunity. One of the big things in the Apple, iOS 18 macOS, iPadOS, is supposed
Mhm.
to be AI, right? But that's coming in, I guess, 18.1 or something.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm really excited. I mean, there's a lot of cool stuff there. But I
Yeah.
suppose I'm getting ahead of myself here. First,
Yeah.
welcome back to the
I think.
show. It's been a long
Well,
time.
thank you. It's been a while. Yeah. I mean, time flies, right? It's just. I was thinking about it when you invited me here. Is like we go way back now, right? If you think about it, there is a lot of years since our first
Oh
meeting
yeah.
and today. Uh, yeah, brilliant.
Oh, and
It's
actually, I mean, we were working together online, but I remember very vividly first getting to hang out and really just
yeah,
occupied the same space in 2011.
yep,
Um,
yep.
DevOps
I
actually, and
I
DevOps
think
is
even
just around the
but
corner.
yeah, I think the first time we spoke to each other, then I think we were still using Skype. You know, if you remember those days.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh, I think you were doing something on for InfoQ at the time, right? And we were talking about JBPM and all of that. So yeah,
yeah.
ancient
Yep.
history by now.
Ancient. Yeah, that's I love that stuff. But it's
Yeah.
good to see you, and obviously, but I bring that up only because I don't know that you've been on this YouTube
No,
channel.
no, you
So
no, and
you've
you
done
also
the
didn't
show.
inform me. No, and you also didn't say it was live and all of that. So good surprise.
I did. I said it was live just a minute ago.
Yeah,
Um, I
yeah,
forgot to mention because I take it for granted. I've been doing this since January of last
yeah,
year,
yeah,
and I forgot that the last time you were on the show was probably when it was just a podcast and we just recorded
yeah,
it offline.
yeah. I
Uh,
think when I was
and
in
so
San Francisco, and that was 2 years ago, I guess. Yeah. So yeah.
yeah, like a long time ago.
Oh wow.
Um,
Yeah,
but it's a new YouTube channel. Well, it's not that. I guess you know, it's fine. It's
yeah. But
tiny.
I'm
Um,
honored to be in the ranks of the people you've asked. You know, if I see on the website here all the other people going before me, I'm a bit humbled, let's say.
well, I mean, you went before you. That's a very you're like patting yourself on the back.
No, yeah, that was not my intention for sure.
Oh,
No,
I'm so
just
glad you're here. No, I mean, so we had Rod Rod
mhm,
Johnson on
yeah.
last week's episode, and this week, and he's famous for having created Spring,
Oh
and
yeah,
you
yeah,
are famous for your outsized role in creating Flowable,
yeah,
which is a workflow engine that I
yeah,
am a huge fan of. Can you tell us about yourself and Flowable and all that kind of stuff? For those who
yeah.
live
Sure.
on rocks.
Oh, there was a hiccup in the internet there. Yeah.
Oh, I
So
said for those
basically,
who live under rocks. Yeah, could you explain?
ah, so yeah. Name's Joram Barrez, Belgium. You might hear it from my accent already. Basically, I joke already for a few years now. You know, I'm doing these task lists and workflow for a while now, so I know getting the hang of it by now. Meaning that we do these kind of small tasks to enterprise, huge scale, millions of instances per day and stuff like that. Yeah, that's my
Right,
shtick basically. And even after all these years, I can still get excited about a low level threading database transactions and all of that. You know, it's uh, it's
absolutely.
uh, it's a funny quirk I have. And then personally, got two boys now, teenagers. Comes with
Oh,
all the fun.
teenagers.
Yeah. Well, last time you saw them, they were little kids. Now they're teenagers with all the problems.
Oh, that's crazy.
I am a jiu-jitsu teacher. I'm doing it now 30 years. So, and I play guitar, and that's pretty much it. So, yeah.
And actually, thinking of the old days, you actually gave you and Tom, with whom you worked, you gave one of my all-time favorite DevOps presentations so many years ago,
Yeah.
which is super exciting. I mean, it was very exciting. It was a very good, energetic demo. I remember that one was like just
Yeah.
crushed it.
I remember that one. I was scared shitless. Sorry for pardon my French here on the live channel.
I think it's okay because it's already been 30 seconds, right? Isn't there like some rule? Like, does the video get demonetized?
I remember because in one of the demos we were just trying it out, and I can tell this now because it's ancient history. There was a bug. We just discovered it like 15 minutes before going on the stage, and I was like, "Oh my god, what are we going to do now?" And Tom said, "Don't worry." And he took his IDE. I think it was Eclipse in those days, and he just pressed the space bar like a lot, and then added the thread.sleep. And you couldn't see it. I mean, I saw that recording, and the scroll bar was like super tiny, so nobody spotted that there was actually something all the way to the right, and that kind of fixed the concurrency issue. So that
Oh
talk
my
was
god!
yeah. I remember it vividly. I still have some nightmares coming back once in a while.
Well, the bug's been fixed, so who cares?
Yeah. I mean, it
until
was
you
fixed.
make it, you know.
Yeah, it was 30 minutes after the DevOps thing we fixed it because it was a stupid thing as bugs tend to be, right? So yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was fun.
Oh, so I mean, we don't have a lot of time, so let's speed run this. So for people to
Yes.
catch people up, there was this technology called JBPM at Red Hat that was created by our friend Tom Byens, who workflow, and it's a workflow engine, right? And what is workflow?
Yep. Well, if you want to speed run it, that's pretty tricky. I would always explain it to people like any kind of thing where you got multiple steps involved and you want to bring it from one person's desk to another desk, and you want to then have it with the data from that person's desk, and then do that on a large scale with hundreds of steps, and you want to do that 1,000 times, 1,000,000 times. That's a workflow system to do that efficiently, performant. That's kind of what we do. Yeah.
But you're literally describing in software the flow of work,
yes,
like in an organization.
Yeah, the biggest thing is that this is all driven by a model, and basically, and this is something I discovered early in my career, is that this model really helps with discussions with, let's say, the business people, with let's say the non-tech people, because they don't understand most of the time what you're going on about. Yeah, well, I was going to call them that way. But I remember very vividly one of my first kind of JVPM gigs, because I used to be a consultant before I joined the JVPM team. I was doing like general workflow consults, also different products. I can't even remember, something from Adobe, something from IBM. And we printed, this is like really old age, poster on the wall. And I remember that we got together with these people that were doing the real work. And we were looking at that poster, and they were like pointing at it, saying, "Hey, yeah, but this isn't right. This is where we do things slightly different." And to me, that was like the light bulb moment. Like, yeah, we had a big binder of requirements, but it didn't matter. We had that poster, and that poster conveyed way than that binder ever could. And to me, that was magic. And I'm still doing that same thing after all these years. So yeah, I still believe strongly in that.
So that both sides, both teams, both personas have the same perspective on the thing that's being built.
Yeah, because in the end, we're visual creatures, right?
Yeah.
A lot of things, but if you see something visually, your mind goes into a different mode, and you start reasoning in a different way. And I think that's what we kind of do. And the other thing, of course, is that in this day and age, there simply isn't enough software developers out there in the world to build all the software. So you need kind of a simplified model to do these things, to get all the software that you need, right? And that might scare some developers out there. I know that, and we can have a debate about that, because I had a debate many times in my career. So yeah.
Okay, so JPDL, and that's JBPM over at
Yeah.
the old Red Hat. That was JBoss actually,
Yes.
and
Yes.
that got acquired by Red Hat, which is now part of IBM.
Yeah.
I think you and Tom decided you could do something different, so you
Yep.
set out and became a part of uh, Alfresco, created
Yep.
a nice little project called Activity, to which
Yep.
I and the good, the great, the amazing, the inimitable Dr. Dave Sire contributed,
Yep.
and that was great too. But and that was Apache 2 license, which is a great license, and then I think you just, I think you by this point Tom had moved on to
Yeah.
other things, and so I think you and the other people, decided to start a company around it, right?
Yep. Yeah. 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 Kind of like
Um,
that. And we got it's there's a long story there, but basically we joined forces with the people from Edorasware back in those days, and we kind of formed Flowable. I'm still am today building, as we say, task lists. I always joke about that. The one trick pony doing the task list for a whole decade and getting away with it.
I mean, you know, you and me
Yeah.
both, brother. Um, so okay, so Flowable, I love Flowable, and you have this technology. Flowable's an Apache 2 licensed open source
Yeah.
project that has some Spring
Yeah.
Boot starters, and you can embed and stand up and manage and
Yeah.
orchestrate and work with workflow definitions through this nice little Java library. But
Mhm.
where I think things get really interesting is when you use your SaaS
Yeah.
sort of premium
Yeah.
bits.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean,
um,
there's an enterprise story to all of this, as many open source vendors tend to do, of course.
yeah,
There's also if you're using open source and you want to use the modeling tool on our SaaS on our cloud environment, you could just do restriction with all the models we support in open source. You will be able
yeah,
to do that for free without any limitations from our side. There is a trial that you can do if you want to
right,
have a taste of the enterprise stuff. But if you don't want to, that's also fine. So you can just go
right.
there on the cloud and model away and be happy.
And I think
Paying us
people
one
would
time, and
like it. And
that's
then and I love workflow, and but you've greatly, significantly, substantially increased the scope of
yeah,
Global. So now it does case management.
correct. Yeah,
What is that?
yeah, yeah. I mean, we over the kind of models that we added, case management being a dominant one. It's basically looking at problems in a different way, where a classic kind of workflow is really sequential from A to B to C, whatever, right? And you got data passing around. The case starts from a different kind of idea where you got context, you got your business problem, whatever, and you don't really know what the order of things are that they're going to happen in. So you model events. You're going to say, hey, if this thing happens, then we want to trigger this. And what we often see is that this case becomes kind of the context binding all the processes together. So that's a pattern we see with
Yeah,
many of our users, customers, is that the case becomes a thing that is the glue, is the overarching thing that holds all of the information, people, document, data, and all of that. And once you know BPMN, it's fairly easy to go to that CMN. BPMN being the language that we use to model those workflows, and CMN being the case one. But there's plenty of those. We've got ways to do templates. We've got ways to do events. We got in Flowable. I mean, it's a crazy amount of models we have, all to help people get a higher level abstraction to reason about.
right,
But and that's kind of our unique selling point, if you may, is that
right.
we never hide the technicalities from you if you're interested in it. So every time we add something, a feature, we make sure there is a pluggability point in Java, in Spring Boot starters, right? If you go to our documentation, you would see there's a ton of Spring Boot starters. You can
Right.
plug in all kind of things. And that's really what, I mean, it makes our lives hard, of course, because we have to reason always about, okay, what if somebody extends this? What if somebody, but it also makes your software better, because in the end, your abstractions, your interfaces are going to be way more level, way more abstracted away, and reasonably maintainable years to come, right? I mean, you've
Right.
got people that still plug in things in code that we've written years ago without any problems. I kind of think that's also what made Spring great, or makes Spring great, honestly, is that
Right.
the code I wrote 10 years ago, somehow, I could still run it. And that's valuable, definitely in
Dollars
the kind of enterprise market.
dollars to donuts, it probably
Yeah,
still works. Yeah.
yeah,
Um. Okay. Yeah. And Flowable, for what it's doing is similarly remarkable because this is incredibly comprehensive suite of technologies that you balance or juggle a commercial offering against a open source one.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
just a phenomenal situation there.
yeah,
How do you make money? Is it the SaaS offering? Like, how do I,
yeah. Yeah, I
what's
mean,
the
there's yeah, there's
capture?
different ways. Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's a very good question, actually. Um, so one of the things we have said is that one thing we'll never do is change the engines. The core engines, they're kind of holy and sacred in the sense that we're never going to make something faster in the
Right.
enterprise. The core engines are the core engines. There's no difference there. So that's you're going to be the same in the enterprise. The richness is really around the tooling and the kind of the model types that you can do with BPMN, CMN, DMN, the core ones. Fine, you can use open source.
Yep.
If you need more, and then you can come to us. If you need UIs for runtime for administration, yeah, then you can have a look at the enterprise stuff. And that model works, fairly well. I mean, we're doing quite yeah, that model works very well in that people realize that if you have to build things yourself, it comes with a certain maintenance cost, with a certain initial cost
Right.
that you skip if you get off the shelf software. I think it's the same as every kind of open source versus enterprise kind of thing.
Yeah. Build
That
versus buy, the classic debate.
exactly. There's nothing different from that. Of course, we also have services. If you want to have help from the people that have done this a couple of times before, you can have people from Flowable coming to you, helping you with whatever you have. So
Wait,
there's a yeah.
does that mean that means in theory I could actually get you to come to the office?
Yes, yeah, you could, yeah.
Like, or what, some office, that's cool.
Yeah, and of
That's
course,
really
as you
cool.
mentioned,
Yeah.
the cloud, right? I mean, this everything.
Yeah.
So because we build our stuff on Spring Boot, pretty much everything we have is cloud native because we built with all
Nice.
the right rules in mind, right? So if you look at our enterprise product, it's not that different from what we run on our clouds. I mean, when I talk about cloud, we've got where anybody can register, but we also got customers who run it, where we run private cloud, right? Who don't want to be
Right.
the public SaaS environment, but so we also do that, right? And that's a matter of spinning up a couple of Kubernetes pods with our Flowable instances that run all Spring Boot behind the scenes. So as presentation, I think 2 or 3 years ago in Barcelona on Spring, we're standing on the
Right.
shoulders of the giants, right? This is all the stuff we don't need to worry about. So thank you, Josh and colleagues, for that.
Oh, I did nothing. I'm just a small
Oh, sure you
cog
did.
in the machine, Um, so you've got this incredible product. It's now sorry, I'm looking for something over here. You've got this incredible
No
product.
worries.
It's based on Spring,
Mhm.
but it's a SaaS offering. You can use the open source if you want, but I think a lot of people
Yeah,
would prefer to just deploy
yeah,
something that manages all this for them. And of course, since
yeah.
the whole point is to bridge the gap between technologists and the business
Mhm.
analysts and they're not going to wield a Java library. You're going to give them something to
Yeah,
point and click on
yeah.
anyway.
Yeah, exactly. It really depends. There's a wide range of customers who some of them really like to go low level and really like to plug in the Java stuff, and some other customers don't. And cool thing
Huh.
with Flowable, we didn't really pick one particular area. We just decided, yeah, this thing should run on every kind of environment, whether going from low level on prem to cloud, where you don't have to worry about anything. And that's again really, we bet heavily on Spring Boot in the beginning years, and I mean, I don't even know which version it was, but it was like an early version, and the market or the user base wasn't really yet convinced of Spring Boot. But yeah, we had history, and we kind of bet heavily on Spring Boot, and of course that paid off tremendously with the speed of things that we could do. in
I
hindsight,
love
the
it.
decisions that we made.
I remember that. I mean, that's I mean, to some extent, you were already, I think, persuaded of its productivity
Yeah,
when we
yeah,
worked on that
of
work
course.
in activity. Even though that
Exactly.
was
I
not
mean,
even Spring Boot, that was just
yeah,
Spring
yeah, yeah,
Framework.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. And I don't remember you calling me like early days with, hey, Joram, I just, it's prototype, right? And this was like the early kind of versions of Spring Boot. And
Yeah.
I kind of knew where it was going. I'm not going to compare it to Rails, but I don't know if you know that, but I actually started my career with doing Ruby on Rails. And it
Cool.
often, yeah. It often reminded me of those days, right? A good compliment because I still think it's a great framework with a different kind of use cases in the market. But so yeah, and the rest is history, as they say, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's it's going well now. You've got this
Mhm.
incredible technology. People are using it. I've used it. I'm a fan. I'm a fan because I could actually keep in my head the old JPDL stuff, which was this
Yeah,
it was not a standard, but it was a very easy
no,
XML dialect for describing process
yeah,
definitions.
yeah.
Whereas
And
with
in
BPMN,
these days we still wrote it by hand. Remember that? you know,
yeah, those days were by hand. Yeah.
yeah,
Um, I could write. I think if I looked at one, I think I could write 10 more by myself. I can write
right.
BPMN today, but I don't want to. Just
Mm.
because it's slightly more complicated than
Yeah,
just the connectors, just
yeah,
the elements between nodes,
yeah,
and all
yeah.
that. It's verbose, but I understand why it's there. So I love that
Mhm.
design time tooling that you've got.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that's
Uh,
that's the secret sauce in the end, right? I mean, you need of course you need to be doing it performant, fast, flexible, and but in the end, it's the ease of use, and over the years that has become more and more important. Whereas you were saying, like back in the day, you could cram out a couple of JPDLs quickly on yourself, and then that will be fine. But also the kind of things that people build these days with the tool is just, I
right.
would say, vastly more complex than what we did a decade ago. I mean, just the sheer size of scale and complexity is just way higher, and you need those toolings to kind of help your brain coping with all of that. I would say, of course, I'm biased in this because that's the stuff I'm selling, so gotta take whatever I say with a pinch of salt.
No, I mean I get it. I mean actually the things that people are building is just I think in the
Yeah,
world of microservices and AI and all this kind of stuff,
yeah,
the use for something like a workflow engine, like these case management tools is
yeah,
more manifest than ever because there's just distributed state and you need some way to like centralize
yeah.
it or at least
Exactly,
visualize
and
them
and
centrally.
and in the end, that's what every kind of business problem turns into. Is it's a matter of thinking about how the stuff moves from A to B, and what does it mean when it
Right.
moves, right? What's the transformation going on, and what's involved, and that's kind of how everything
And who's
everything in the
involved?
world, and who's involved, especially. Yeah. Even to this day, is
Yeah.
the human to be underestimated? Absolutely. Yeah. I think that's also one
Yeah,
of the
yeah. I mean,
kind of core things that we focus on heavily. Is from the beginning we took the human actor really as a centerpiece. Is that, yeah, you can optimize a lot of things, you can automate a lot of things, and a lot of things can be automated, but the human actor is always escalated, or when really important decisions need to be made, and they need a good tooling, a rich environment, and that's kind of, yeah,
right.
what we kind of decided to focus on, as a core selling point, let's say. Yeah.
So, okay. So now um you've you've got BPMN, you've got workflow. These
Yep.
tools make it trivial to they're respectful, right? They're not trying to replace people. Quite the contrary, they're trying to make sure that you've enshrined in the
Yes.
business process a
Correct.
place for them,
Hmm.
to involve them because it's the result of computers working in harmony with machines. I think it's always going to produce better results. So now
Yeah.
because there's a lot of ways. Why do you need workflow? Because if you have a program, it can manage its own state, right? The only reason you need the state is when you have these asynchronous, like, okay, but somebody
Mhm.
needs to actually review this and make sure it works. You know, that's a human being
Yeah,
that scrutinizes the final
exactly,
result, and so
exactly.
you need to
Yeah,
model that asynchronicity and that
yeah,
sort of those wait
yeah,
states and
exactly.
all that, and that's really sophisticated. But it's there's extra complexity in that, but it's worth doing because you need the people, right? The people are the most
Yeah,
important part of
yeah, yeah, yeah,
any
exactly.
business.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
And so
absolutely.
it is with that as the backdrop, my friend, that I kind of wondered. I
Mhm.
was hoping we could have a quick conversation about where do you see AI? Does that replace people? Is that like, can we use AI to,
Yeah,
enrich or empower the people in these processes? I mean,
yeah,
where does that look
absolutely.
like
I
in
mean,
today's world?
yeah, no, no, absolutely, and it's exactly something that we're working on as we speak. We actually have a release of our AI version of Flowable, let's say, now this Thursday. If
Oh,
all goes well and all the builds are green and all of that, right? You know how it goes.
big. Yep.
And there we kind of let people see how our kind of integration vision is, and it's interesting that you started talking about people and putting in the user central, because that's exactly how we reason about it. I think it was back when when all of this AI stuff kind of got into the kind of big explosion. It's very
Right.
tempting to kind of AI everything without thinking what does it mean. For all the features that we now added, we've always thought about how will this help the user, because I think I and we in Flowable fundamentally believe that AI is a tool in the end.
Right.
It's a tool that improves the life of humans working day to day with our systems. It's you can use AI to replace people, but I think it's let's say not smart at this time. I think you
Yeah.
also, I saw your movie that you did with Rod Johnson at the end of August, right? And I think he also gave the comment, right, that for enterprise use cases, it's really scary to made something with AI that might be wrong 1 in 100 times.
Right.
And that's just not something you want to have on an enterprise kind of use case. So just replacing your users, your end users, or whatever with AI bots or agents that make autonomous decisions, I don't see. I really don't believe that's at least the right choice. It is a tool that advises people, that can take a
Yeah.
lot of work out of the hands of people, but the people still need to review whatever that AI generated or produced. Because on the end, yeah, we're not at the point in time yet where maybe we are. We know when you call next year and we have a different conversation. So when we talk about the tooling that we added, it's really around speeding up your life. Like we talked about the models
Right.
before, it's really about building these models in a faster way, that you don't have to click around, even though that clicking is quite fast, but it gives you at least a skeleton where you can start from, and you don't need to do the dredge work of the boring work of doing it all. Other feature that we added, for example, is in a document kind of context, which is in workflows a lot. You're passing around data through documents a lot. PDFs, Word, Excel, you
Right.
name it, right? Is that
Right.
you use AI to kind of extract information out of these documents way faster. So we have integration in our runtime tooling that says, now, give me a summary, or you have some specific questions, and you can go into conversation with the context of your document without having to read the whole thing, right? And that saves you a lot of time. Another feature that I really like, for me, this was like the eureka moment, honestly, about AI, is having a
Right.
conversation with your runtime data. In the
Yes.
now this release, but it's going to be in the next release. And that to me took me a while to kind of appreciate, is that as a developer, I know APIs, right? I know Java APIs, I know REST APIs, I know GraphQL, you name it. I know how to get the data because I can read these things. Now,
Right.
if you have enough context, and I'm then talking about your process instance, and you've run it like 1,000 times or thousands of times, and you're in your instance, and it's been running for a few weeks already, and some people have worked
Right.
on it for a while, and it's in a certain state, right? And this is a big complex thing, 50, 100 steps, I don't know, right? Hierarchy of processes calling each other. And to me, it clicked when I was gathering information, and giving it to the AI as an extra context on top of the regular services and saying, okay, give me now a summary. Where am I with things? And, keep it brief. And it gave me like a very good, concise structure saying, hey, we're here, we're there. And this was like, okay, if I have to do that through a rest,
that could still
well,
work.
it could still work, but I would have to know how that API is built and the parameters
Oh, right.
and what I have to pass. And I wouldn't have to know the low level kind of details, or somebody would have to build a UI specifically for that. And at this point, I don't need to. I use natural language, the thing that I learned as a baby, right? I use the language to kind of.
How good is it in Dutch or Flemish?
It's pretty good, actually. Yeah, it's actually pretty good. I use it quite a lot in Dutch. It's remarkably good because normally, languages like Dutch, which is a small percentage of the world, they don't get the love that it it deserves. But yeah, it's really good at that. So that's
well,
good. So,
I was using
sorry, go ahead.
I was using Llama with Llama 3 from Facebook, and I was doing a demo the other day, and it wasn't very good for Japanese. Like,
no, well,
it's exceedingly good in English, but Japanese was no.
No, it's well, I can't say so I can't verify, but the languages that I know, which is Dutch, English, French, and a smidge of German. Yeah, it's impressive that stuff. And what impresses me a lot, and is it's really hard, even as a technical person that knows the algorithms behind that, to not say something like, "Oh, the system thinks this." Because the system can't really think, right? It's generating something based on a huge matrix of things that are linked to each other mathematically. The chance of something following each other, and you have to keep that in mind. But what it produces, that it is still amazes me, and I think that's the thing I and probably the rest of the world never expected that would be the case, right? It also makes you wonder philosophically what it is, that our human way of reasoning and thinking and talking, what it really means, right? And but let's not go into that debate here. So yeah, I'm impressed with the stuff. But again, what we do is really think thoroughly, where does it make sense, and not blindly add AI just for the sake of adding AI. I truly believe that humans are a crucial factor today in using it and replacing anything autonomous. I think that's as anybody. You can do it technically, no problem. But do you want to?
But it's better if you don't. Yeah, I mean, the ends don't justify the means.
Yeah, maybe it's a matter of time, right? I mean, who knows? Who knows what the industry or academics will figure out about these things, right? It's crazy if you sometimes think about what happened in the last.
10 years even. I mean, just even virtual threads. I mean, you've got, because workflow is by definition stateful. There's stuff running all the time. So having the ability to scale it out sometimes.
Absolutely. And there's a lot of I/O that we do. So a lot of potential for these virtual threads. Oh, I didn't mention, by the way, Josh, you should have pitched this whole thing that I talked about with AI. That's all built on top of Spring AI. So we're using.
Really?
Well, it doesn't come as a surprise, I guess, right? But I mean, the whole thing was really built with the abstractions of Spring AI, and I think for us that still is crucial and a game changer. We have a feature in the product that you can. We just piggybacked on what's there in Spring Boot in the end. You can swap to any other vendor. So we have a demo where we start with OpenAI, and then we do the same thing but with Claude. And you just change a couple of settings, and that's it. And it works fantastically without us having to worry anything about the kind of gritty details. That's the stuff that you guys take out of our hands, right? So again,
I love that. Teams working together. Okay. So
there you are.
Sorry, just walking around. It's almost 6 a.m. in my time zone. I just came in from. Okay, so this is all super good. I kind of winding down here. Where do people go? I mean, where do they learn more about all this cool stuff?
yeah, I think flowable.com. That's where you go to, and from there you can just find your way around. I mean, there's a YouTube channel which we post a video this week also about the AI stuff. So all the stuff I talked about, you can see that in that video how we do it. We're gonna write articles about it.
Nice.
Yeah, you can go to github.com/flowable, right? I mean, just all of that, and yeah, just the regular channels, I would say.
And then when is that roughly? If everything goes fine, it's green. Did you say
Yeah, it's
Thursday?
Thursday. Yeah, Thursday.
Okay.
Thursday. That's when we push it out. Yep. So that, I mean,
Oh,
for
I'm so
now,
excited.
I'm looking here at my screen. Everything looks green for now, but you know how it goes with software.
Don't say that. Famous last words.
Yeah.
Look, if anybody can ship
No.
a great release without any problems on time, it's you, my friend. It's gonna definitely be you. This
Yeah.
is an amazing project you've you know
Yeah. Thank you.
nourished all these years.
Thank
Well
you.
done, sir.
I mean, if you look at our code base, you'll see your own name in there, right? I mean, it's not we didn't do it alone, right? You have a author at Josh Long and many others in there.
I'm more impressed by the others and the good David, Dr. David Tyre.
Yeah, don't underestimate yourself.
Never.
Undersell yourself.
Oh no. This is so cool. I'm just okay. Congratulations, by the way, on the release. I'm sure. I don't need to tell you how pleased I am for you. I'll be checking it out, and I'll be. This is going to be the week, not just of Java, not just of the Apple operating system updates, but of the new release of Flowable. So truly a great week.
It's an amazing week. It's like it's meant to happen.
Oh yeah, don't say that either, my friend. Thank you.
Yeah,
and see you around.
good night.
Thank you, everybody.
All right.
You too.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.